Yeah, there we are. I got my monitor off to the side that you'll take a look at. And then, of course, right down below me is my Dexcom Clarity Report that we will look at here in just a little while. Actually, we'll look at it on the monitor itself so that we can see what's going on. If you've not joined us yet, if you have not joined us in the fast, you want to make sure that you jump in and do that. We've been having an amazing time as we've walked through this week. And for those of you who started your fast today, that's right. If you started your fast today, go ahead and drop in the comments and say me. I know we have community members that have been fasting. Some of you ended your fast yesterday. We gave kudos to you and shout outs. But if you started your fast today, I want you to go ahead and put me in the comments so that we can give you a special shout out as we continue moving through this space of being healthy. And if you've not been to our Move campaign yet, make sure that you are doing that. Make sure you get over there and join us. Metabolic optimization via exercise. So movement is a part of our health action plan. We've got walking, we've got strength training. Put those together, and those are two of the components of our Move campaign. Let's go ahead and let's do a check-in right now before we get into looking at my numbers. And when I check in, I talk about three different things: how I'm feeling physically, how I'm feeling mentally, and how I'm feeling emotionally, as we are now, like I said, 56 hours into this fast. And when we checked in yesterday, I talked about being stable in terms of my energy level. I'm still in that same space, right now. Been doing a great job of hydration. Been doing a good job of resting. Remember, those are some of the components that will cause problems for people as they're fasting. And right now, I'm not feeling any of those. I'm not feeling like as though I'm lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty. Let's pop that up. Right, lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, palpitations. All of those are not currently things that I'm struggling with. If you are fasting and you are feeling some of those, remember we talked last night about having that check-in, that check. There may be some things that you need to look at to make sure that you're doing everything you need to do to continue being healthy during the fast. And then, how am I feeling mentally? I am feeling clear. I'm not feeling foggy-headed, lightheaded. I'm not feeling as though I'm in a bubble or I'm fuzzy-headed. My mentation, my thought processes are clear. And you'll remember I have done shows in the past where we said, yeah, I'm not feeling that good because I'm tired or I'm dehydrated or some other thing was going on. But right now, feeling very good. And then finally, emotionally, it's been an interesting couple of weeks for me. And so emotionally, yeah, that one, I'm doing well. I'm doing well, but lots of moving parts, lots of things are going on with me personally right now. And so that can have an impact on the fasting. And so I reached out to some folks today, and we've been kind of chatting and talking. And so right now I am feeling joyous. I think joyful is the word that I used earlier today as we talked on our pop-up. So I am in that space right now. So enjoying being in the fast. And being in the fast sometimes will help with the calm, right? Lowering that cortisol level and all those things that we talked about that we talk about in this space. So anyway, so that's my check-in. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at what's going on with my blood sugars. And here what you're seeing, this is my Dexcom, my G7, and it says right now that my blood sugar is 85. And if I scroll down right about here, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our 12-hour view. And I can put my finger here and begin scrolling through. And as I'm scrolling through, you get to see what those numbers are, in the low, mid 100, well, lower 100s. In the morning, and then just dropping down right here into the 80s, and kind of staying in the 80s for most of the afternoon into the evening. Drop down into the 70s there for a little while, and then to where we are right now, still staying in the 80s. Okay, we're gonna come back to this in a minute because I want to do a different view on this. But right now, let's hop over and let's take a look at what's going on with my Freestyle Libre, and this is a Libre 3 Plus. And right there, you'll see that's what my blood sugar is at this moment. And then if I put my finger along the graph, you'll see there 90s, 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 80s, as we went through the day, and then dipped right here, right down, right below 70 a little bit, and then popped back up, and then to where we are right now. One of the things I like about this this view or this app is I can look at other reports, right? So let's look through here, and time and range. I can look at, see what's been going on, and we're looking at these numbers right here. You'll see a 98% time and range and 2% low. And so when I'm fasting, my blood sugar tends to go low, as you know, you've been watching. And so that's what you're seeing right there. If I look at the 14-day, 30-day, and then of course 90 days, what we're always interested in, because that's what the A1C comes from. And so right now you see I'm in target 87% of the time, and then 3% lows. And once again, those are lows that happen when I'm fasting. If I get out of this report and hop over to my average, you'll see right in this line right here, that's my average over the last 7 days. Here's my 14-day average, 30-day average, and then of course 90-day average. And down here, I always say I like this part of the graph because this breaks my blood sugars up according to what's going on at different times of the day. So I can see what's happening there, and I can make decisions based on, what, for instance, if I always see that, hey, about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, my blood sugar always spikes there, then my question then becomes, what's causing that? And what do I need to do to fix that? Because remember, those spikes, we want to avoid those as much as possible. Okay? All right. And then now let's go ahead, and I want to go over to take a look at my monitors. And I've got my Keto Mojo, and I've got my contour monitor right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. And in order to get the best out of that, I need to change and grab. So this is my container with all of my strips and lancets. And so here is a strip for blood sugar. That's for the Keto Mojo. I need one for ketones. And by the way, go ahead and you can start dropping in the comments, what do you think ketones are going to be? And these are strips for the contour. And then I need to grab, and so I'm going to get a couple of lancets, okay? All right, so let's go ahead first and get a strip for my contour. Get that here. And then we'll open up the Keto Mojo. This is the blood sugar strip, the brown one. Get that into our device. And the last few times I've put this in, it's given me an error. So let's be, okay, so it gave me an error already. So let's go ahead and we're gonna put that back in there. Okay, and then now let's open up this one. This is a ketone strip. And I'm just opening this because I want to just have it off to the side, and we'll leave that here, and there we go, so that we'll have it available to us when we're ready. And then let's get one of the lancets, and as you know, I don't use lancing devices. There's a lancet. We're just going to pull that apart and get a finger, and let's use this guy right here, and ow, ow, ow. And that should give us a pretty good, there we are, all right? Pretty good drop. Get that started on the Keto Mojo. Get this onto the contour. And let's go back to this view. And you'll see here that the Keto Mojo says my blood sugar is 80. The contour says that it's 74. The Freestyle Libre says it's 70. And then if I go back here to the Dexcom says 87. And so you'll see we can have different numbers. Sometimes people will talk to me about, hey, my monitors are different in terms of the number. And remember, they can be 20% different from each other and still be considered to be in consistent with each other. So let's go ahead and get that one off. And I want to change to my ketone strip. Before this drop dries, let's go ahead and make sure that we can get a good, so that gives me an error. Let's go ahead and get this back in. Okay, come on, come on. All right, y'all, so it's not wanting to behave. Let's see if I grab another strip All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna grab another one of those ketone strips. Get a couple out just in case. All right, here we are. And nope, still an error. Okay, I may have to have one of my folks here. Let's see. All right, well, we'll be working on that. Okay, all right. But what I wanted to show you from the Dexcom was this view, and we've looked at this view before, but here is a summary of what's been going on with my blood sugar, and this, of course, is over the last 14 days. Right, average blood sugar of 108 with a glucose management indicator of 5.9. So if I were to get an A1C, this is what I would expect it to approximate, right? A 5.9. And let's go ahead and let's jump over, and I want to do the 90-day average. And so you'll see here that my 90-day average is 115 with my glucose management indicator being a 6.1. So if I were to get an A1C now, I would expect it to be along those lines, okay? And well, we'll kind of see what we need to do about this Keto Mojo here in a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to hop over and we're going to take a look at the report because I want to go through a couple of things here on my report. And let's start right here. And so this is what we just saw a little while ago on the monitor itself, where we're looking at the average of 109 with my glucose management indicator for 5.9, and that's a 14-day average. I'm in target 98% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180. And if I change this to the 90-day average, which is what we just saw, 115 average, glucose management indicator of 6.1, in target 98% of the time, and target being anywhere from 70 to 180. But what I want to do is I want to hop over and take a look at the actual blood sugars that that have been, and this is so why you won't be able to see the graph itself, but you'll be able to see the numbers. Hopefully you can see that there. So we started like right in here on Tuesday. So it's Tuesday, we started with an average blood sugar, or we started with a blood sugar of 75. And I'm going to just scroll along that graph. And so you can see what the numbers have been doing since we started the fast. And if you've not yet seen the meal that I ate to start or end to start the fast, my last meal before this fast, make sure you go ahead and watch that episode, okay? That was one of our pop-ups on Tuesday. So we started fasting right about here, and then let's take a look at what's been going on with blood sugars in the 70s and 80s. 70s and 80s, of course, that popped up because I was eating, or I had eaten. And so here, we're now about 10 hours after the fast. That's 77 average blood sugar. And then coming into the next morning, right, we're in the 70s and 80s for most of that time, 70s and 80s. And that's where I actually changed, where you see here, there's no numbers. That's where I changed my glucose monitor because it went out. And so 70s, 80s up into the low 100s. And this right here, let's go back here. Right here is, that's about 24 hours into the fast. And then, of course, we did our check-in last night. In our fast, ketones were 0.6 at that time. And then now coming into this morning, right, low 100s, 80s, 90s, 102. And when we did our check-in today, our pop-up, right there, our blood sugar was about 90, right? So that was our pop-up at 48 hours. And then, of course, coming into where we are right now. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so that's what's been going on blood sugar-wise. So excited that that you've been able to kind of see that. I'm going to, let's see if I can get some help here for a minute. Give me a second. And let's see if I can get someone to give me some batteries. And those are, give me just a second. These are AAA. Batteries. Okay. All right. So we'll see. We'll get to that here in a minute. All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's jump into our discussion for this evening. This is going to be a good one, y'all. I'm so excited about it. So here we go. Let's get over there. All right, so we're talking about the adaptation zone. So we spent some time in our last check-in talking about transition. So we were at 33 hours when we did our check-in, and that was when the body was shifting from carbohydrates, shifting into burning fat. And now we are way past that, and we're in the space where the structure that we've put in place, the things that we've done so far are now coming to fruition, right? That means that the transition is complete. Your body has entered what we're calling now the adaptation zone. This is the stage where stress becomes strategy, where all the things that you have been learning, all the things that have been going on in the body, the hormones are now talking to each other, they're handshaking, and all of those things are in place. And what we want to do, we want to talk about what's happening on the inside of our cells. We're going to talk about autophagy and mitochondrial efficiency and hormonal harmony and how structure keeps this entire system going, right? So let's go ahead and let's get started. So let's talk a little bit about structure. Structure protects what motivation starts. Motivation begins your fast. For all of us who are here, there is some motivation, something that made us start the process of fasting. And we talked about several, some events, some epiphany, some learning, some education, something that happened, some family member, some event in our lives. And we were motivated. We hit the ground running. And we say, okay, we're going to do all that we can to be healthy. And so we ran in. And so we started and we hit the ground going, and we are in the process. And we decided that we were going to use fasting as part of the health action plan as one of the tools that we're going to do to right our metabolism. By 56 hours, which is where I am, the question isn't anymore, can I keep going? It's how do I support what's already working? Because we're well beyond the, I think I'm going to do it. I want to do it, but I don't know. We're in it now. Because right now, your metabolism is no longer guessing. It's learning your rhythm. And our goal tonight is to understand that rhythm well enough to protect it, right? That's what we want to do. We understand it well enough to protect it. And so remember, our process... So the structure that we've put in place is protecting what our motivation started. Okay? And so let's go ahead and let's talk about our transition from the transition that we've done to adaptation. Have you ever noticed, if you've been doing one of these extended fasts, that the fast suddenly begins getting easier? Particularly if you've been doing and going through this fast with us as we've moved through this space. Right? Suddenly it starts to get easier. The hunger subsides. Your focus sharpens. Sleep deepens. That ease isn't psychological, it's physiologic. Your body has crossed the metabolic bridge, if you will, from reactivity to regulation. And adaptation isn't endurance, it's alignment. It's not like I'm white knuckling. I got to get through. No. This is alignment. So everything in your system, in your body, is now lining up to help you be successful as you're moving through the fast. This moment is where the magic happens, where discipline turns into design. So let's talk a little bit about the science. Let's talk a little bit about the science of adaptation. And we're going to talk about the cellular crossover, right? So let's look beneath the surface and see what's really going on in the body. Energy systems are stabilizing. By this point, right, glycogen stores are depleted, right? So we're well past that 24 to 30 to 36 hour mark. Beta oxidation, which is the breakdown of fat cells, is the dominant thing that's happening in our body right now. The liver converts those fats that are coming from fat cells into ketones, mainly beta hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, and it is helping us to maintain good hormonal balance. It is helping us to maintain good energy because we're no longer relying on the fluctuating blood sugar. We're now using fat. Ketone supplies most of your brain's ATP, right, while reducing the oxidative load. The result of all of this is clean energy. The clean energy and calm focus. There's hormonal equilibrium that's going on. Insulin remains low. This keeps fat mobilization happening. Because remember, when insulin is there, our body doesn't break down fat efficiently. We can't get into fat burning. We can't get into beta oxidation. But because my blood sugars are lower, my insulin level is low, and so I am now pulling fat from those stores that I have there. Glucagon steadies hepatic glucose release. So I'm not getting a whole bunch of sugar now coming out of my liver, right? But I'm getting constant energy because the body's taking those fats and is converting them into ketones. Growth hormone is there to support muscle maintenance and repair. Cortisol has realigned with my circadian rhythm. Because remember, cortisol is the stress hormone. And because I'm fasting, the body now understands, it now knows I'm not in danger. And so it begins to calm. Together, all of this creates a hormonal symphony that protects lean mass and stabilizes the mood. There's also inflammatory issues that are going on. We've got resolution, cytokines like IL-6, interleukin-6, and TNF-alpha, right, tumor necrosis factor. These are pro-inflammatory cytokines and markers. They begin declining. Antioxidant enzymes, superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase, they rise, and they're scavenging now and helping me to improve my immune system. Systemic inflammation is going down. Neural fog begins to lift. So my mentation, my thought process is better. So how does all of that science feel? You heard me do my check-in. When I do my check-ins, I talk about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, emotionally. What does that feel like? So your mental chatter quiets. That's ketone beginning to fuel the brain. Not beginning, but it's fueling the brain, fueling those neurons. Your body temperature may dip slightly. Energy is being conserved, not wasted. Your sleep deepens. Remember, we're talking about what's happening in this space. Melatonin sensitivity improves because cortisol normalizes. Remember, those two are at odds. You may sense emotional steadiness because serotonin synthesis stabilizes with balanced tryptophan that's flowing. Remember, so as we're going through fasting, we talk about the blood sugar, we talk about the weight, but there are all these other things that are going on, this symphony of hormonal communication and interaction. Each of those sensations that you're feeling is data. Your body is sending a progress report that says we're adapting. What you feel is feedback from your physiology. Let me share with you what it looks like in real life. So, I had a patient, one of my patients, that struggled with weekly migraines and just not feeling well. Have you ever had that where you're not quite sure what's going on, but something just feels off? And so she was an example of metabolic dysfunction. Weight was up, struggled with polycystic ovarian syndrome, was in pre-diabetic ranges. Weight continued climbing. And so we introduced her to fasting. And we began with a simple 16-8. That's what we were shooting for. And she started to see benefits in terms of some weight loss, started to feel better. And so we began extending that to 24 hours. At 24 hours, she's like, man, this feels good. My weight's going down. I don't feel as though I'm in fog anymore. And so we extended that further to a 48-hour fast. And we began those cycles. And as she's going through this process, the migraines began improving. She began feeling more energy. She said, I feel clearer. My thought processes it doesn't seem as though I'm grasping anymore. We're talking about metabolic improvement. Another patient of mine who was struggling with anxiety and worry, who was working in a highly stressful environment. And we advised, I said, hey, let's do this. Let's plan to implement a couple of things. Let's plan to have a 2 to 3 minute break twice a day where you are, just for that moment, just for that time, you are calming yourself. You're doing some breathing. You're doing some meditation, something where you come aside where your cortisol level begins going down. And let's begin a fast. Let's begin an intermittent fast. We started with a 12 and 12 because she didn't think she could do anything longer. 12 and 12. And we extended that to 14-8. Okay? And we extended that to 24 because remember, our goal is everyone should be able to work their way up to a 24-hour fast at least. And then we started, once she got to 24, we got to 48 hours. Using that structured fasting with the punctuated times during the day where we're coming aside to breathe. Came back to see me in about 6 weeks. Sleep is better. Fasting blood sugar. I didn't say she was diabetic, right? Yes, she was. Fasting blood sugars were better. They had gone down by 10 to 15 points. Why? Because structure tamed cortisol. Stories like these remind me and remind us the science only matters when it changes how we live. And so when we talk about adaptation, right, there is a huge component of adaptation that happens in our body. And that is our cellular cleanup process. At 56 hours, autophagic flux is peaking. Autophagy is the body's cellular cleanup process. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, autophagy is the body saying that I am going to go out and I'm going to recycle broken, damaged, unused, misshapen, malfunctioning parts of itself. It's the cleanup process. In fact, rather than say cleanup, let me say this. It is a renovation that's going on. Because cleanup simply means that we're tidying up stuff, right? We're dusting stuff off and washing things. And no, that's not what's going on. The body is literally renovating itself. It is doing things that are consistent with right? So cellular cross stuff we talked about. Doing things that are consistent with kind of recycling. So let's go inside. Let's go inside of the cells and see what's going on there. So mitochondrial biogenesis is happening. So mitochondria are those batteries that are in the body that are the places where we get energy from. Your body takes food, converts it to glucose, and it takes glucose and plugs it into the battery, the mitochondria, and then out from the other side comes the actual thing that we use for energy. Right? And when we're fasting, when we're fasting, autophagy takes off. And what it does, it triggers new mitochondria to be created. The mitochondria that are broken and the ones that are taken up and are sent to recycling, they come back and they come back more efficient. So we're getting new mitochondria, so more energy, because we said that's the battery. We're getting more efficient mitochondria, that's a battery, that's more energy. And the mitochondrial density, that is the number of mitochondria that we have, increases. Yeah. So at 56 hours, your body upgrades its engine. So there's this mitochondrial biogenesis that's going on. And then there's hormonal. Let's go back here. I think I missed one. Then there's this hormonal harmony that's happening in the body. Insulin is low, which leads to lipolysis. Growth hormone is there, so recovery is better and faster. Cortisol downregulates, leading to restoration. Norepinephrine goes up, which means focus and alertness is better. Your hormones aren't reacting, they are regulating. They are now in harmony with each other. Because we've done a good job. We've set the pace, we've set the stage for all that to happen. Our immune system improves. We talked about interleukin 6 and TNF alpha. They go down. And the scavenging that's going on, remember, we're taking off or breaking down and recycling systems that are pro-inflammatory. All those things that are in the body that aren't working quite well, that are misshapen, that are malfunctioning. When the body sees that, the body has a reaction to them. So what's going on is our body in autophagy is going out and taking all those up and saying, no, we don't want those anymore. So our immunity improves. And post-fast, after the fast, our stem cells, right? They help to regenerate white cells. Those are the cells that we use to fight infection and part of our immune system. Inflammation isn't eliminated, it is retrained. Because inflammation, by the way, is a good thing. Our body, the inflammatory process, is our body doing what it needs to do to fight invaders and fight infection and fight things that we encounter in our environment. So inflammation itself is not bad. It's when inflammation becomes overly active that it becomes an issue. So our body is being retrained now because it doesn't have all of those damaged things that are there, right? So the immune system is better. And then structure protects the science. All these pathways need stable external input. So we, in our structure, in the things that we do, are supporting that. Like what? Like what? We talked about making sure that we're hydrated. The hydration keeps our volume constant. So it helps the process of going through fasting. Because all these hormones and all these things that are changing, all this scavenging that's going on, where do you think that stuff travels? It travels through the blood. So when we're hydrating, we're actually supporting the process of autophagy. Minerals, making sure that we're having the appropriate amount of minerals. They help our membrane potential. That is where we're sending signals to different cells to do different things. Rest when we're resting. And once again, we're talking about supporting the process, supporting the science, supporting what's going on in our body. When we're resting, we're preserving our circadian rhythm and preserving the circadian gene expression. So the structure keeps your internal laboratory stable. So let's talk about supporting the shift. How do we protect this stage? Because we've gone from, oh, we're not going to fast. Oh, we want to fast. Oh, we're fasting now. Okay, now we're doing an extended fast. And we've transitioned, right, 33 hours, and we're now in adaptation. How do we support that? And we just talked about one of the things. So making sure that we are hydrating appropriately. You want to aim for half your body weight in pounds in ounces of water. So if you're 100 pounds, then 50 ounces of water. You may need to add some sodium to that, some magnesium. Dehydration causes problems for beta hydroxybutyrate. And because you can't transport it to where you need it if your volume is down. So hydrate. Number 2, you want to rest deliberately. Deep sleep equals growth hormone pulses, which equals repair. Make your fast day bedtime a non-negotiable structure. I'm fasting today, so I'm going to bed. If I don't go to bed any other day on time, today I'm doing it because what? I'm trying to support. I'm trying to do all I can so that the fasting that I'm doing is not done in vain. All right, so we want to hydrate, we want to rest deliberately, and we want to reflect and record. When we talked about the IDL, so the inner design loop, right? Anchor, align, and adapt. The adaptation, if we're going to change, if we're going to continue evolving and doing things that are better for us and finding ways to tweak, we have to adapt, which means we have to reflect and we have to record. That's why I love looking at my continuous glucose monitor, looking at my ketone monitor. I love journaling. It's feedback. And what I'm looking for when I'm looking at these different things, I'm looking for smooth curves, which is why I love looking to see, okay, the things that I ate as I started my fast, what happens to my blood sugar following that? We want clear focus, calm mood. And when we are looking back, when we're looking at the things that are going on in our body and we're reflecting and noting what's happening, that is feedback. Calibration keeps adaptation alive, right? So how do we avoid, so we want to protect, so we're protecting, right? So how do we avoid some of those things, back up for a minute, how do we avoid some of those things that can derail us, right? So we want to protect that process. We want to avoid sabotage. Even progress can be fragile. And you want to watch for these common things that can derail us. Number 1, overtraining. So we have people who are doing fasting workouts, which is fine because they are looking for the growth hormone to help with the muscle preservation. But if you are not used to working out, if you're not working out, or even if you're doing light workout, during fasting is not the time to go at it unless you've been doing that before. Intense workouts increase cortisol. Increased cortisol causes increased glucose. Increased glucose requires increased insulin, and that blunts our beta oxidation, blunts our autophagy, blunts all those things that we just talked about. So sometimes we think that, oh man, since I'm fasting now, I'm going to rev up my activity because that's going to help me. It actually can go in the opposite direction. Right? So number 1, overtraining. Number 2, sleep debt. When you don't sleep well, it lowers growth hormone and increases insulin resistance. Yeah. so that the times when we say, okay, I'm going to get rest later, it may be good. You may get through whatever it is that you are trying to do, but what happens is that you're causing metabolic dysfunction and making it difficult, particularly if you're fasting or if you're on a diet, make difficult for the body to maintain the muscle mass. The other thing is sometimes we can overhydrate without electrolytes. Right? So we just can drink. And if we're not careful, that can dilute our sodium, leading to fatigue and other things that are happening in the body. And then, right, this one was coming. So breaking the fast with high glycemic foods. Okay, we're going to put a pin right there. We'll talk more about this as we do our complete review. But if we break our fast with high glycemic index foods, then we have sharp rises in our insulin. When we have those sharp rises in our insulin, then the entire system that we just described begins to shut down, including autophagy. Think of this as a metabolic quality control, the boundaries that protect the biology that you've built. So we're protecting all of that. So the next thing is, well, what now? Right? So we've gone through a transition. We're in adaptation. We've got the mitochondrial biosynthesis. We've got the thought process. We've got the physical. We've got the hormones that are working on now. So what's my one domino for today? So here's a micro action. Before you sleep, identify one adaptation signal. As you're going through the fast, is it sharper focus? Is it lower appetite? I don't feel as ravenous. Do I feel calmer in my thought process? And I want you to write about it. Because adaptation and adapting, right? Adaptation, play on words there. So our inner design loop says that if we are going to continue to improve and continue to evolve, we've got to be aware and we've got to be willing to change. And when you write it down, when you journal it, when you note it, then you're having some objective data. And then once you've identified what that is, right? What do I do? What do I need to do to make that happen again? So remember, what we want to do is we want the process that we're going through to be something that's sustainable. So how do I sustain it? Because I'm always learning. Each time I'm doing it, I'm learning. Right? The sleep window that I use, the hydration method I use, the rhythm that I use, which fasting method am I using? All of that is data, and all of that becomes a part of your design. Small acts anchor big biology. Right? Small acts anchor big biology. And so we want to make sure that we're doing all the stuff that we need to do so that we can continue to be successful. So structure becomes regulation. So at this stage, your metabolism has learned to trust you. It's no longer surviving, it's synchronizing. It's synchronizing. That's the reward of structure. Internal predictability that frees external effort. Adaptation is your body's way of saying, I believe you. I'm learning to trust you. We can do this. I'm with you. We'll continue talking about how this process works. We'll explore restoration, how strategic refeeding completes the metabolic loop. So here are some key takeaways for you. Ready? Here we go. Jot these down. So takeaways, the adaptation zone. So repair replaces reaction. So we're in autophagy now. We've gone through transition, we're in adaptation, our body is now trusting us. It is going through the process of repairing. It replaces reaction. We're no longer reacting to what's happening. Number 2, structure stabilizes the science. So when we put structure in place, it supports the science that's going on already in the system. When there's no structure, we're haphazardly doing things. And then number 3, adaptation builds metabolic trust. Adaptation builds metabolic trust. So as your body learns and is adapting, and you do that over and over and over, then metabolically we get into that. You've heard me talk about metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch. The body says, "Okay, we do this now. This is not a thing for me. This is not a big thing for me." Your body is recognizing energy. It's reorganizing those energy sources. Hormones and immunity around, and all of that is happening around stability. When this happens, the rhythm becomes steady. The science follows the structure. And we no longer are haphazardly doing things. We are in the process of living a limitless life because we've created a structure that can sustain us. You've entered the most intelligent part of fasting, the calm within the chemistry. Your mitochondria are new. Your cells are cleaner. Your hormones are balanced. Now it's time to protect what you've built. Structure isn't confinement. It's actually clarity. Rhythm isn't restriction. It's resonance. And this adaptation is an amazing space to be in because we've passed the motivation. We've passed the initial ups and downs of fluctuating blood sugars. We're well now into beta oxidation, and our bodies are functioning on a cleaner, more consistent source of energy. Hormones are playing well with each other. Immunity is improving. Inflammation is going down. And we are becoming metabolically in sync. We'll continue talking about our ability to do what we need to do to be successful when it comes to our health. As we continue walking through the Blueprint series, as we continue doing those things that we need to do to be successful, and fasting, one of the pillars, an amazing tool that helps you in that direction because it helps to set us up to improve all those things that we talk about along the metabolic spectrum. Continue joining us as we go from here, as we do our complete check-in, as we do our 33-hour fasting, as we do continue this process, because we're learning to be consistent. We're building routine. We're building habits that will help us to be safe, help us to be healthy, help us to be around for all those important things in our lives. We want to be here and we want to be healthy. We want to have success in this space, just like we're having success in all of our other places. Join us again. We'll see you next time. All right. So let's see. I was able to get someone to bring me some new batteries. So let's see if that was the issue. I'm gonna go ahead and get. And we're looking at our glucose. So let's go ahead and let's grab we got our strip in, and let's go ahead and get a finger stick. Boom, boom, boom. There we are. And let's see. What do you think my ketones are going to be? Because that's the question that we had, okay? So grab the ketones. And here we are. Let's see. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And while it does that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Keto Mojo. And so 0.8 is what my ketones are. 0.8 what my ketones are. And we're looking at, let's go over to this. I'm going to pull that over, see if I can get it to sync. All right. Pull that over again. And what I want to do, since I had to do that, I'm going to actually check my blood sugar again, so we get both of those in time. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get another finger stick, and that way we have a blood sugar that corresponds with. Okay. So let's do that. Let's see where. Okay, here's my Lancet. And we're gonna. What I want to do is I want to get a finger stick at this very time while I'm getting that ketone. All right, here you are. And blood sugar is 75, and let's go ahead and let's go ahead and sync those again. Let's see if I can pull that over. 75 blood sugar with ketones of 0.8, and pull over. Okay, complete. All right, so now let's take a look. So we're looking at these numbers right here. So that's my glucose. So I want to get. Okay, here we are. So this is my glucose, and I want to get all of it. So my GKI. Okay, here we are. So let's grab this view. So right there, that's right. So we're looking at this, and so here is my GKI 6.8 with glucose of 74, and ketones are 0.8. Actually, I thought they were I thought they were 0.8 just a minute ago. Let's see. Not sure what's going on here, guys. Give me just a second. So that's the old one. Let's see if I can get this to pull over. Again, we're going to try to sync it again, because I thought I just saw 0.8 as my glucose. I'm not sure why it's telling me 0.6. Scanning. And so when we talk about ketones, we want ketones that are 0.5 or higher, right? If you're in a ketogenic diet, if you are a fasting mimicking diet, or if you are in a, so it says that failed. Or if you are eating, if you're fasting so that you get into ketosis. So those are the things that we want, right? So we want our ketones to be 0.5 or higher. And you saw mine was 0.8. I'm not sure why it's having difficulty pulling over. But, so let's hop over. Let's say hi to some of our community members here really quickly. Let's see. I think I see Gian out there. Hi, Gian. She's saying hi. Hi, doctor. What's going on? She says hi, LLG. And Gian was guessing 1 point. Oh, let me go back here. Gian was guessing 1.2. She said, I ended my 48-hour fast yesterday and started one meal a day again. Awesome. Jennifer, what's going on? Jennifer, howdy. How are you? Jennifer says, I just got home, and congratulations on the fast. And hi Jennifer from Gian. Yeah. So glad that you guys are coming through and hanging out with us. So remember, as we go through our fasting, the Triple E formula for success, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcast. We empower with the tools that we're learning, y'all. All the things that we have here in this space. In fact, our blueprint series that we are going through right now is a perfect example of tools, right? Because we're laying the foundation for what we need to do to be successful. We're putting that in place, and that is an amazing process. So all the tools, the heat model, the cope model, the play your own game series, all of that is mindset, and their tools as well. And then of course here we are in the community, this community that you are a part of, that you're helping to grow, the support that we get here, the encouragement. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage as we move through our metabolic space to be metabolically healthy. And I do see, Jennifer, are you still doing your fast, or did you end that? Was that yesterday you ended, or are you ending it today? So Jennifer was on a mission, and so we're so proud of you. Give you a hand clap on some music for taking charge of your health. All right, and so y'all, we continue our fast. Come back tomorrow. You will see us get through our fast as we talk about how to prepare for a fast, get through a fast successfully, and ending the fast. We'll be back on Saturday for Video from the Vault for This Week in Review on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. right here on the channel. And then next Monday, we'll be right back for Dwain Woode, MD Live, as we talk about our continuation in our Blueprint series. Okay, so Jennifer says 10 p.m. Thursday evening. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, you're telling what time it was. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at this promo for our Move campaign, and then we'll be out of here. Have a good one. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started.